Good morning, everyone. Welcome to class. We are going to start today with the very first Chapter 1, Intro to Earth Science, found here under Scientific Method. That will be the subject matter we will be discussing today. So for those who have their laptops open, please go ahead and open to this location. Alrighty, let's begin. Let us first introduce the topic of earth science by talking about the process of science. Chances are you have already heard of the word scientific method, which is a great method used in solving problems. Now, the scientific method always begins with a curiosity and questions. Okay? You have no doubt in your life been curious about some nature or source or some subject or object of phenomena. After observing, you naturally begin to ask questions why and how these phenomena occur. So an stout individual would take an educated guess using prior knowledge and or experience to be able to come up with a possible reason why this phenomenon exists. In science, we call this guess a hypothesis. So by definition, a hypothesis is an educated guess that must be testable and falsifiable. Falsifiable means it is able to be proven wrong. After this, you naturally would like to play around with this idea or hypothesis to better understand it. Therefore, we call this experimentation. This is the third piece that you'll need to have for scientific method. Experimentation allows you to explore and test your hypothesis to determine whether or not it is true or can be proven wrong. Now, during this experimentation, you will be using your senses such as taste, touch, smell, hearing, and sight to observe what's going on. That's very valuable to be able to use, because without that, you really can't draw to any conclusions. That's a very valuable piece. Do not forget that. Okay? Now, once you have completed your experiment, and let's say you realize it does not work, you may need to change part of it. So when something doesn't work, you take one piece out and put one piece back in and test it again. That's called a variable. Very important. A variable allows you, when changed, to rerun your experiment and determine, was that the cause that you did not reach your hypothesis or an agreement to your hypothesis. So again, it's a very good practice to only change one at a time. If you change multiple variables at a time, you will not have here, you will run into multiple outcomes on your experiment and not know what was the cause of either being successful or not successful in your hypothesis being tested. So remember, a variable is something you change one at a time. Now, a variable has two types that go hand in hand. You have what's called an independent variable and a dependent variable. An independent variable is a variable that you change. Again, for example, if I said I'm standing up here at the front of the room and I suggest that I can take a pen, grabbing it by the pointer end, and I can throw it and hit the back wall, that's my hypothesis that I can do that. You guys challenge me, that's my cue to experiment. So I do so, I throw it. I hit the desk in front of the wall. I don't reach my hypothesis. Therefore, I want to change something. I want to change maybe the way that I throw it. Now I grab my pointer finger or my index finger and put it on the end of the pen, grasping the middle part of the pen with my middle and thumb finger, in essence changing the way I project but the throw of this pen, and I throw it to hit the back wall. And it does work. Therefore, I changed one variable and it worked. Now, what if I wanted to ensure that it worked and I changed the position of how I threw the pen, and then I also moved to a different location in the room closer to the wall and then threw it again? Of course, I probably would hit the wall based on how far I had tried to prior and had missed by. Therefore, I would make up that difference by moving forward and throwing it again. Of course, I would hit the wall. But did I change too many variables at one time? The answer is yes. Therefore, it's not conclusive that I could have hit the wall from the place that I originally stood. So you change one at a time. Now, going back to the independent-dependent variable. The independent variable would be the change that I made to the way I hold the pin to ensure that I hit the back wall. The result of that is hit the back wall. That would be dependent variable. So again, independent, dependent. I make a change, therefore the result is me hitting the wall with the pen. I'll give you some other examples now. Okay? Let's see. This one right here, this first one. A scientist tests the idea that a vitamin could prolong a person's life expectancy. What is the dependent and what is the independent variable? The scientist tests the idea that a vitamin could prolong a person's life expectancy. So what is being inputted into this sentence? What is the change? A vitamin that's being added into the comment, or into the conversation here. And what is the result of that? A person's prolonged life expectancy. Does that make sense? Okay, second one. A scientist studies the impact on mice if they are not shown affection. Okay, what is the change? What is being changed? If you look at this, it's affection. They're showing affection. That's the action being changed. And what's the result of that? Or the result of that is, with a dependent variable, is the impact on the mice. Okay, third one. Study shows groups of students to see if the amount of sleep affects their ability to perform some tasks. So, what's the change again, ladies and gentlemen? The change is the amount of sleep. So that's the piece that is being changed. Let's say they only gave 6 hours of sleep and then they tested again at 8 hours of sleep. That's the change. The effect or the result would be the ability to perform some task. Make sense? Okay, perfect. We'll stop here and we'll start tomorrow with control. Thank you.